मेरा नाम पंकज है. Can you hear me at the back? Do I need to speak louder? Okay. Better? Okay. So my first question to myself is, or was when I was preparing, that what is the highest wisdom? Knowing God, knowing my higher self, Atma Gyan. And then the thought came to me that at this particular time, and for me, what is the highest wisdom is knowing God's will. So I'm at a little crossroad in my life, personal, and I really would like to know what is His plan for me, what is His will, so that I can at least follow it. Well, I'm still asking Him. So how will we get to know, how will we acquire this highest wisdom? How? So it's about knowing God, right? So what I suggest is we can all enroll into one of those Vedic universities, do a PhD in God realization. Yeah? Maybe that will work. There is a tendency in today's world of achieving something, of reaching out, doing something, being active, and getting something for ourselves. This is, as we move from Kali Yuga to Dwapar, we still have that mentality of what's in it for me. So there is that tendency. So perhaps what we can do is go out on pilgrimages, तीर्थ यात्रा करके आते हैं, हो सकता है वहाँ से हमारे को आत्मज्ञान मिल जाए. We can do a lot of these rituals which are defined in Ved. All these Ved have all these rituals, fast, jap. We can do that. Maybe then we'll get highest realization, the highest wisdom. But actually, I don't think so. Why I say this is, somebody asked Guruji, why do we meditate? It's a really good question. I never thought of it for first 10, 11 years of my existence here in this. And then Guruji replied, he said, to receive Om. Now please understand the key word here is receive. It did not go get it. He did not say manufacture it, make it. He says to receive Om. Why is it so difficult? I mean, it's already there, right? Why is it so difficult for me to receive Om? That's the highest wisdom. Meditation, I've been meditating. Why I don't receive the Om? The way Guruji has explained it, or the way I understand it is, that imagine you have a cup, you have a glass, and it's upside down. Now when Guruji, gods are trying to give you that Om or His Kripa, what will happen to it? It is our job, unfortunately, that we have to turn that cup up. We have to turn it around. For a lot of people, turning that cup up, they do that, or maybe they think they have turned it up, but they fill it with every other thing in life. Children, career, husband, wife, society, and getting all those power, of fame, etc. And if it's full with all these other things, how will we actually get that kripa? One of the things to do is attunement. Everything else put aside. Guruji said very specifically to people, somebody came to him and says, I cannot meditate. He says, don't worry, I will meditate for you. You have to remain in tune. To another person, he was a very worldly fellow. He had all kind of vices you can think of. Guruji loved him, and people asked him why. He's not the normal type of a disciple you have here. He's so worldly. And Guruji says, he is a true lover of God. And that is enough. So we need to tune ourselves to God and Guru, and we have to offer that love up to them. And in that attunement, in fact, there was a time when Guruji was speaking to some of his disciples, and he was telling them that, okay, this person is free in this life, this person has already become Jivan Mukta. And then he went on to say, some of you will fall from this path. And he says, it does not have to be so. Just stay in tune. How do we stay in tune? I mean, it sounds very nice. Maybe we have a guitar and, we can just tighten the strings or loosen them and become in tune. How do we get in tune? It's so difficult, isn't it? Let me give you these few examples, if they may help you. Sister Gyan Mata. So she came, she met Guruji, and they were very far away. They couldn't meet in the early years. She couldn't meet Guruji so often. So what she did was, she would take the marigold flowers, Kesri Rang, and she would keep them in her house everywhere, so that the color of the marigold flower will remind her of Guruji's robe. So very simple. And similarly, she would do all these small things, and she would write to Guruji. She would write to him. Whatever was troubling her, or whatever inspiration came to her, she stayed in touch in very simple ways. Try doing this exercise in your life. When you get up in the morning and you finish with your morning meditation, think of what lies ahead in the world, for that day. What is your plan? And then offer everything to God and Guruji, if you wish, and say, please be with me through this day, through these whatever plans I have made. Don't ask for a specific outcome, but just say, be with me. And in the evening, once you finish meditating or before you go to bed, again touch base with God and Guruji, and just go through the entire day and offer gratitude. Maybe something didn't go well, something didn't go the way you wanted it, but you still want to touch base with them. You still want to say thank you. That didn't go too well for me, I agree, but thank you for being there with me. So in some way or the other, think of God deliberately and with an attitude of gratitude, so that you slowly open yourself up to Him. There was a painting in which the painter had painted a door. He had painted a door here, and somebody came and told him, why haven't you painted a handle here? He says, no, that's the door of the heart. The handle is inside. So the God cannot open your heart for you. You have to open your heart from inside for a door. So that is why we have this beautiful chant, door of my heart, I open for you. Here is one last idea for you. In this monastery, slowly new people stopped joining, and there were only 4 old monks living there. And the eldest monk, the abbot, he was a little uncomfortable. He says this whole huge monastery is going to die out with the 4 of us, is going to be in ruins. So he went off to a old hermit who was a wise old man. He says, what is happening? How can we get more people here? So the old hermit didn't really offer him any advice, but as that abbot was going back, the old hermit just stopped him and says, by the way, one of you is a Messiah, a prophet. So the man was taken aback. He says, I know all the other 3, I know myself. Are you sure? I mean, none of us are that highly evolved to be a Messiah. He says, no, one of you is a Messiah. So he goes back to his monastery and he tells the other 3 people, he said, one of us is a Messiah, but I don't believe it. Now everyone, it went into their hearts. He says, what if one of these is a Messiah? I better be nice to him. I better be respectful to him. So the 4 monks within each other started treating each other as God. They were not sure who is the Messiah. But in that respect, in that love they were giving to each other, slowly that magnetism developed, which went around, and they started attracting people from the villages nearby and then further away. And soon, within a few years, that monastery was again a vibrant place. So maybe we can change by a little act of seeing divine in each other, seeing the Messiah in each other, seeing God and Guru in each other, just treating each other reverentially in our houses, in our homes, in our offices, on the road when we commute. Instead of going into a rage, when somebody brushes past your car, overtakes you, say, okay, God is testing me. God in him is testing me. So think of this. In this way, you'll change your own magnetism, and you'll be able to draw God and Guru's kripa to you.
In this reading and the topic, Pankaj just emphasized much on the receptivity. Now I have my cell phone just because I wanted to read something. This is from the discipleship vow. Some of us here are the disciples, and we take the discipleship vow and then we sort of forget it. But there's some line here, and I think it is very relevant for us. So it says, as we prepare ourselves for, again, so those who are not disciples doesn't have to bother too much about that, but this line still holds. It says, we are saying this, I have walked with the thought, I want this from life, these answers, that guidance, this pathway or that. But I have seen that as often as I made claims on life, it eluded me. As often as I presumed on thy will, it turned away from me. I know now that without thy strength added to mine, infusing it, I shall never find thee. When we talk about achieving highest wisdom, and we don't actually know what actually that highest wisdom possibly could mean, but isn't it many times like, do we get any sort of a thing that we really want by just snatching it? The topic talks about achieving the highest wisdom, but again, Pankaj mentioned that actually we can't achieve anything. All we can do is probably open, and then we can just accept whatever comes to us. If this becomes too esoteric, just ask yourself, like when we think about something, like if we want to really find an answer, or if we are interested in someone else and we really want to understand, okay, I want to understand what you're saying, what happens? Then we are basically open ourselves to whatever they have to share with them. Even if I give you a puzzle and say, solve it, what is it that we basically look at it? And then, how do we do it? Like, how do we solve that? If you see a person who is actually receptive and listening to someone, what is that person's postures would be? Like if I give you like, okay, you have to solve this puzzle by tomorrow. Initially, maybe there is a chaos, but at the moment when you look at it, and then we sort of start contemplating, don't we? We go somewhere inside, and all of a sudden, when we're like, I'm here listening, tell me. And all of a sudden, there is a stillness, isn't it? We're not shaky, we're not agitated, but there is a stillness, and there is an alertness. Are we thinking a lot of thought at that moment? Not necessarily. You see, all that chaos has been quietened down. Because even, let's say, a puzzle, a life situation has been given, we first go through this whole gigantic turmoil, what and how to do it, and then thoughts go here and there. But when all of that goes down, what remains is stillness. Okay, now this problem, the solution doesn't lie anywhere. It's not written in the books. Nobody can solve it. I can solve it. I have to. What do? We just sit, don't we? And what is happening while inside? Not necessarily that there is a lot of thoughts going on. We just hold that thought and we're waiting. Isn't that how it is? When we even solve the problems or some puzzles, we just wait, and it may come or it may not come. But that is a preparation for a potential solution that can come. Does it make sense at all? Have anybody solved the puzzle or listened to someone very intently? And isn't it that's how we sit? We just sit and let whatever comes. And then we can see whether that solution makes sense or not. Highest wisdom, when we talk about that, as Pankaj was alluding, probably we want to understand God. But again, we don't necessarily know what it means, isn't it? If I ask you all to write what it means to you, we may have our own definitions, but that's not an absolute, necessarily not our experience. Then how do we achieve it? It's the same thing from where we stand. How do we approach anything in terms of if we want to understand, what do? We just become still, we become alert, and we're interested in knowing the answer. Now there are people here, maybe some of them are artists, some of them are businessmen, and anything which is we do with our heartfelt, what happens? All of a sudden, anything question asked to you, there are solutions. Because we're enthusiastic, we're interested in doing that. And it's planned. When you start a business, we don't have a 10-year, one day, if this question is asked, this is the answer. We don't learn that. What is it? We just say yes. And then, as it is going on, when the questions comes, what it is happening. Because the person, we are enthusiastic, we're interested in doing that. That state, when something is happening inside, when you're trying to draw that inspiration, how can we categorize that? Can we say it is sort of we're alert and we're enthusiastic about the solution? If we're not doing any of it, can we do anything successfully? An artist, when it comes and says, what do you think about this design I drew? She just looks at it for a moment, and then some things happen, and then yes or no comes out of her. Was she trained all this time to do how this? No, the techniques are always been trained. This is what is happening inside. And then that's why we say, like the words, people who are passionate about their things. We say, painting is her second nature. Isn't that what we say? Some person, here we have a musician who says music is a second nature. People who are very much in business, we say business in their blood. That's like their second nature. We use this all the world. Now here is something interesting. We say this is a second nature. This is a second nature. So what is the first nature then? Everything which we are passionate about, probably our work and every life revolves around that second nature. What is our first nature? And I feel that the first nature is, again, the characteristics of that first nature won't be too different than what we are talking about, this second nature. Something which is so close to us. When we are doing some things which we are passionate about, do we get ever tired? If the same questions, you wake up and then ask the questions, are you ready to answer? Yes. And in that, what makes us tired is something that we don't want to do. It is not something ourselves. We carry that burden within ourselves, isn't it? But the moment we say this is our second nature, we are making it our own. And in the same thing, because in the first nature, there is no conditioning. There is no separate passion itself. Right? So being alert or being enthusiastic is our first nature. Will it be far-fetched if I say that? Because when we live like that, we are never tired. It will just continue, just like our second nature passion is going on. Paramahansa Yogananda ji said that every meditation that we do has to be better than the previous day. Now this seems like a very daunting statement. You feel like, oh boy, this was a disaster as compared to yesterday. So I am certainly not obeying my own guru. But there's a different or a more easier way to look at it. Is also what is he asking is not that, did you do better today or I'm going to scold you? No. How are you approaching today? As again, Pankaj was alluding, when we wake up, it is a fresh day. The sun is the same, everything around us probably is the same, but there has to be something freshness because it's a new day. And then with that, when it becomes an enthusiasm comes. A few weeks ago, me, Chika, and then Hari, we went for a movie called, it was Winnie the Pooh. I don't remember. That was the name of the movie too. And so Winnie the Pooh wakes up and he says, oh, what day is it? And his friend answers, oh, it is today. And then Winnie the Pooh all of a sudden gets happy and says, oh, today is my favorite day. And then he says something else, but isn't that a wonderful affirmation? When we talk about, this was a beautiful period of my life, so what happens now? No? We talk these days a lot about, I heard someone saying that, we talked about a lot, work-life balance. This person categorically refuses, like, If your work is not your life, stop doing it. Isn't it? It's a big portion of our life. And we say, oh, I work, I have to do work, and then I enjoy my life. Why? That's what our first nature. It is the time when we deny our first nature with, we are born here. We just sang the chant, which is, I came from joy. I live for joy. And at the end, we will merge back in it. And there is any moment when we are not experiencing it, or we are not feeling in tune with it, we are not living our life to our fullest. And that is what the Master says, like every morning's meditation. See if you can look at the same thing that you have been doing over and over with a renewed enthusiasm. Because we don't know. We always talk about these analogies where, no, how deep can you go in meditation, and when will that spark happen, and all of this wisdom will come to us. We don't know, and that's why we keep each other motivating. Like, keep pushing, keep pushing. You don't know how far it is. When I was small, I was in a very small village, and then they were digging a well. I don't think they dug well anymore, at least not in Delhi city. But that was a very interesting phenomenon a long time ago. No? So they would just do a digging around, and at the center they would put some barood and then do a blast, clean it up, and again keep doing this. But there was one day, then they called all of us and said, we are very close. The water is down here now. And I remember that time when everything was, it was still the earth, and then he put one thing like that, and there was water. And after that, the water never stopped. They had to clean it up. It remained in me all the time, They were digging this for months and months and months till the time they reached, and then they knew there is water. They knew. And then they just kept on doing that till one day that came. And since then, there is always water. It has never stopped. When we look at being receptive, at times we get a little discouraged and whatnot. But again, discouragement is not our first nature. It is just a temporary garb that we wear. A bad season, it's winter, so we wear some clothes. But no, the clothes is not us. What is our innate nature is being alert, being enthusiastic, being receptive to whatever life has to offer, not only things that we like to love and do. And that's why the affirmation we do today, what did we say? We said, I'm awake, I'm energetic, I'm enthusiastic. There was a full stop after that. There wasn't for something, for life. And that is what Master asks us to do. Because when we live that, when we live like that, we are like open vessel. The door of my heart I open wide, I keep for thee. In that alertness, in that openness, we hold the capacity to receive everything which is needed for us for at that very, very, very moment. No matter where we are placed, where we are doing, not only in our meditation, but in our regular work and life together. So that is what we need to sincerely see, as the Master is saying. Just keeping ourselves open, being receptive, and then the wisdom that we seek will be ours, now and all the time. Joy to you.